Okay, so I'm back at the bus here. I'm going to work on those under storage bays, getting a high gloss Rust-Oleum white sprayed inside. I'm still also over here trying to paint the back and front, but right now I'm kind of on a quest to find the right LED lights of the major brands for the marker and clearance and tail and so on. They're pretty expensive, so I'm trying to find the right value in lighting. That's a little bit time consuming. I need to get the lighting wired up. My wires just got delivered by Amazon, so I'll be able to put the wires through and get them ready and finish the insulation. Then I'm going to put plywood on the inside. But the order of business right now, like I said, is painting those under storage bays. All right, so I'm going to get started here spraying. This primer's all dried. I think I'm going to work through the center first, up at the top, and then I'll close a bay door, spray one side, and then I'll have to come back later and spray the other. All right, so I've got the bay mostly painted here. I think I need to pick up some more spray paint, and we'll finish it up. Okay, so I'm kind of working my way in here from the steps, walking in to tidy things up, put things away. My goal would be to sort things according to electrical or plumbing or whatever they go to, and then once I've got a safe working environment, I'll start doing the wiring. All right, so right now I'm going to get the windows out, and I'm going to trace a template so I can draw some lines inside the bus. I need to take some measurements and build a little bit of structure out of metal. So this is all part of the planning process. Like I've said before, this is the complicated part because I got so many interdependencies right now. I just realized I needed to mess with the window layout to be able to finish what I'm trying to do right now. So anyhow, I'm going to get them traced. Okay, so I'm back at the bus. My insulation keeps popping out of the walls. I think I've decided I'm going to use some strips of metal and some screws, and I'm basically going to screw the middle of these panels in with kind of a strip of metal going across to keep these in place. And then what I'll do when I put the plywood up, the base layer of plywood, is I'll make it wide enough to hold outlets probably at the countertop height, and that'll give me a wiring chase for the various wires, 110 and DC, and then I'll put the plywood in so that the wiring chase is at least the half-inch plywood thickness, and put a piece of plywood up and one down below, and then the finished plywood or trim piece can go over that. But I just have to figure out the height. But right now I'm going to start cutting strips of metal out of some sheet metal to do that. So that'll hold the insulation in so that I can install plywood and wiring and stuff. So, and I also need to build some frames. Got to look at the thickness, but some frames to hold these big windows in. So that's another thing that needs done. But as you can see, the bus is pretty messy. The insulation's falling out of the holes, and it's just 2 steps back here at this point. So time to come up with a plan to get this, or to act anyway. I've got the plan, but to get this insulation held in place properly. All right, so this is what I did to hold the insulation sheets in. I'm going to do this on each one. 3/16 rivet with some scrap metal, and it's holding it nice and tight now. That'll let me keep it in place to put the plywood up, and also to shoot some goop into the cracks here, whether that be spray foam or caulk or what. I have to look at what caulk would be compatible with iso foam board, but yeah, that's the plan, and I'll keep at it here, securing these sheets so they quit falling down on me. Alright, so I got some more metal tabs put on that one and that one over there. So this one over here, it was a little thick and I had to use a screw to get it done. I couldn't push the rivet in. But anyhow, whoops. Anyhow, I'll keep at it. But that's enough for tonight. I'm gonna go home at this point. Okay, so I'm back at the bus. I'm gonna do more of these clips to hold the insulation in place. I'm going to use the same mechanism on the ceiling to hold insulation in place. Kind of handy because there's already the old holes from the sheet metal up on the ceiling. So when I turn that pile right there into the ceiling insulation, that's how it's going to happen. So I'm going to have to cut a lot of pieces of little pieces of metal strips like that to do this. So anyhow, I'm going to get back at it here. Okay, so I've got the back driver's side of the bus here. Got the insulation fastened into place with the metal strips. So what will end up happening here is, you can see I made some pencil marks. I'll have 24 inches to the top, which is half a sheet of plywood, and 24 inches basically to the bottom, also half a sheet of plywood. This in here will be a wiring channel for outlets. Most likely I'll do shallow surface mount outlets. I got to think about that, but I'll take some measurements. But the idea is that with this wiring chase, it'll be easy to access for repairs. This is for the wall mount outlets. A lot of the other outlets are going to go under the floor. Things that will end up being mounted to cabinets or the couch or whatever. Interesting, you can see the light reflecting off the dust in here. I should probably be wearing a mask with all the insulation dust from hitting insulation to get it slapped into place. But anyhow, I'm done for the evening. Alright, so I'm back at the bus here. It's already getting dark. It's only like a little after 6, but I've got the underbay fully painted with the white spray paint. So I picked white because it would reflect a little bit better, make things easier to see in the bay later, but probably also will look dirtier faster. So anyhow, so I got that spray painted. Luckily a little surplus shop near us had the spray paint for $2.25 a can for Rust-Oleum, so a lot less expensive to do this, given that little shop having, I don't know where they got it so cheap, but it's about a third the price. So anyway, I've got the spray paint done here, and now I'm going to start cutting insulation on the inside to get rid of that big pile of insulation. Okay, so I'm back at the bus. I've been cutting these tabs of sheet metal out of scrap to help hold the insulation. I'm going to start doing the ceiling, holding those in with the tabs as well, and then I'll be able to start doing the edging with canned spray foam wherever there's a gap. After that, I've got to get the LED lights pre-wired on the outside walls, the marker lights and clearance lights especially, and then the identification lamps up there and at the back as well. But I'm trying to progress to where I can get plywood up on these side walls and move forward with the overall project. This bunch of insulation being in my way isn't helping matters at the moment, so that's sort of why I'm trying to get the ceilings insulated as one of the next things I do here. So anyhow, by the way, that Harbor Freight shear is crap. It hardly works worth a darn. This other one, the electric one, works better. So I've been using the electric one. I figured that would work. I already had the hose line or laid out, but then it didn't do a good job at all. So I went and grabbed that one. Alright, so you'll see I've cut and drilled a single hole in many little pieces of sheet metal using the drill here and the old screws from the ceiling. And I'm starting to put them in place up here. And I've made them loose enough that I can spin them when this one's a little rigid, but I can spin them into place when I put the new insulation sheets in and then tighten them down. So this will hold the ceiling insulation in place, and I'll make sure that I know about where I'm going to put my ceiling runners I think we're going to go for like a mansard type ceiling where we have flat pieces angled up, and then here, and then a flat. Ultimately, I'd like to have a flat stretch in the center for at least maybe 20 inches or so down the center. So it won't be quite like this rounded shape. So I need to watch where I'm putting these insulation holders, that they're not going to interfere with my my wooden supports for the ceiling that'll eventually go up. So anyhow, I guess I could move them if they're in the way down the road, but for now I'm trying to be conscious of that. Okay, so I've got the tabs put up on the insulation sheets on this wall now, on the passenger side and the back. And up there in the front, I've tabbed in some of the short pieces at the top or the bottom of the roof. So I think I'm going to do that size short piece and then one slightly larger, and then I might be able to get a long piece stretching all the way across on most of these and tab those in. So we'll see how it works. All right, so I'm back at the bus. It's kind of a rainy, drizzly day here. I'm going to work on the ceiling. I can't even talk. I'm going to cut insulation and put tabs in up on the ceiling. All right, so I'll be using the tabs that I cut to start from the front here, and I'll put insulation all the way through the ceiling. So we're going to turn that pile into a smaller pile, and hopefully probably get about half the ceiling done or more before I take off. Okay, so since it's raining, this is actually a good, I was able to spot here, I've got rust forming on this iron, drips on the floor, and of course the bus hatch is right there, so I see the drip. So it looks like I'm going to need to sheet over that bus hatch as well once the weather's cleared. So yeah, these bus hatches leak like a sieve. Alright, so the ceiling insulation's coming along. I'll be cutting pieces to size to fit the gaps, and then little gaps like this one here will get spray foamed. I might put a chunk of insulation in and spray foam it in place, but you know, I've got some canned spray foam to get the gaps and cracks. So it's coming along. Okay, so I've got the insulation panels up on about a third of the ceiling here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Yeah, about a third. There's roughly 14 sections on the bus, plus the front and very back. So anyhow, a couple hours work, wasn't too bad. Then I'm going to fill in the seams with the spray foam. You can see the cans on the dashboard over there. So anyhow, it's coming along. Okay, so I'm back at the bus. Nice rainy Sunday here. Last time I was out here with my son Jeremiah, we got the ceiling on that side run down with the insulation. So I'm going to start on this side over here. Alright, so I scooted the pile away. I've done one on the ceiling, and I put one in behind where the pile of insulation was. So a little bit of progress here. Hopefully by the time I leave today, I'll have this insulation up all the way down, and I'll maybe get this particulate matter all cleaned up with the shop vac so it's easier to breathe in here. Alright, so I'm almost done. I've got basically 3 more of these sections before I have to do the front and back. I think I probably could insulate the back, although I have to permanently secure that window and remove those lights. But the front, I need to do some riveting and stuff on the skin. So it seems like I just can't get away from riveting more and more. But anyhow, I'm going to finish that, and then I'll cut a few pieces for the missing spots. Okay, so I've got the ceiling roughed in with the insulation, got the tabs in place. Where I put the windows, and there's going to be a skylight up there. Where I put that stuff, there's going to be insulation cut out. But I also patched the tops of those. The next step here is to clean up this incredible mess inside, run the shop vac, get the dust out of here. Now that's the plan. I'm going to get the fan blowing stuff out the door to help circulate the air properly, make it easier to breathe in here. So, quite a windy day for some reason. But anyhow, that's what I'm going to do. That door just swung open. Okay, so I've just used a pair of vice grips here to get these light assemblies out from the inside because they were so rusted on the outside. So I'll do that on the other side as well. Alright, so I'm back at the bus here and I'm trying to deal with this chaos. I cleaned up the back of the bus a little bit before leaving yesterday. So at this point I'm going to clean the front of the bus up. I'm going to get this couch support put back in place where it belongs, right there, after cleaning out that well. I'll probably end up putting plywood down and starting spray foaming cracks on the insulation sheets, gaps and cracks with the canned spray foam that I have. So anyhow, that's the agenda for right now. Mostly cleaning up. Okay, so winter's gotten dark here early. I have just cut this piece of plywood to put on the floor in the back. And this is kind of how I do it. I use another board as a guide, clamp it on with those clamps like that after marking the width of the saw base plate. So anyhow, I'll take it over to the bus and get it locked down. Alright, so right now I'm going to screw down this piece of wood on the floor right there. And then I'll cut one for where the beige is there. I'll cut some more plywood. And as you can see, it's even darker at like not even 6 o'clock than one would expect thanks to daylight savings time. Ben Franklin's worst idea. Okay, so I got this section screwed in and I've cut a piece for that location right there. Now I'm going to screw that down. I'll measure and cut the piece of 3/4 ply for right there. At that point I'll have finished all the subfloor in the bus, except for this platform. Okay, so I've got that last bit of subfloor down. So I think at this point I'm going to finish cleaning up. And that might be it for the night. Okay, so I just used the vice grips to remove the 2 lights on the other side from the inside. Because again, outside they're quite rusted. The heads of the screws are totally rusted out.